one of the biggest decisions that's being made right now is the proposal to build a swimming beach at the north end of Onondaga Lake. The county is Onondaga County is spending $440,000 of state money to do a feasibility study whose ultimate ends will be a site selection. They've already chosen that, Willow Bay, shovel-ready design, and model contracts. And a lot of us were very concerned about the process that we saw being used to communicate with the public about this. So we decided to do two things tonight. First, to gather some people who share the values that I mentioned, some of them closely affiliated with a better future for Onondaga Lake, some of them not, but definitely people who share our beliefs in a lot of ways and have information that we want to share. And then we would like to open it up to have a discussion, to hear what people have to say. Seriously, pro, con, there really hasn't been an opportunity that we have seen for people to listen to one another, to have these kinds of discussions in public. First, I would like to introduce our panelists. We have Alma Lowry, an environmental attorney of counsel to the Law Office of Joe Heath, General Counsel for the Onondaga Nation. We have Mariana Kaufman, physician, activist, and parent. And we have Lindsay Spear, Director of Creating Change Consulting, who has been working on these issues, following these issues, and involved in them for 10 years? Yeah, at least. 10 years at least. So we'll just go into our panel, and I will just sit down and listen like everyone else will, and at the end, we will come back together and see if we can share our ideas.
I'm going to try to compress about 8 or 9 years worth of knowledge about the Superfund site on the lake into the next 7 or 8 minutes. So I'm going to talk kind of quickly and condense things down, but I wanted to give you a sense of what's in the lake, what's around the lake, and why the lake became a Superfund site. So there's our view of the lake. It is now the site of parks and trails and shopping. It used to be the site of a lot of industrial plants and facilities. Between about 1881 and 1896, Honeywell and its predecessor companies operated several industrial facilities around the lake. There were other industries that were sited around the lake. All of those industries that made things like caustic soda and soda ash and benzene, toluene, ethylene, xylene, chlorinated benzenes, chloralkali, they all created a lot of waste. Those wastes include mercury, chromium, and other metals, scimitar wastes, BTEX compounds, and the wastes that were generated from that, the benzene, the toluene, ethylene, and xylene, chlorinated benzenes, naphthalene, other polyaromatic hydrocarbons, PCBs, and dioxins. So a whole range of wastes. Joe Heath is fond of talking about the 26 contaminants at the bottom of the lake. So all kinds of contaminants were generated. So Honeywell has said that they're basically done with remediation, right? They've dredged and they've capped and they're done, and the lake is ready to be used again. But I think the point that I want to make sure that I leave you with right now is that we're not done. The remediation of Onondaga Lake is really the containment of materials that remain at the bottom of the lake, remain toxic, and could potentially move back into the water column, back into the surface sediments if this system is unsuccessful. Honeywell has designed its cap according to its proposals to last for 1,000 years. That's not just them being funny or them being generous. That's them recognizing that the contaminants that last on the bottom of the lake are going to be toxic for 1,000 years. And Honeywell, or someone, is going to have to pay attention to that cap for 1,000 years. DEC itself has estimated the degradation time. There are contaminants in groundwater, both on some of the onshore sites and outside of the barrier wall. DEC has estimated that there's no additional contamination to that groundwater, no contaminants leach in from the soils, the contaminated soils. Those groundwaters would degrade to the point of being safe somewhere between about 43 and 750 years.
So the key piece that I want to really start us thinking about is about relationship with Onondaga Lake. This is a lake that we are just now recovering, we are just now healing from over 100 years of abuse. And human impact has been the key of that abuse. This is a time where we really need to be encouraging Onondaga Lake to be in its most natural state, to heal, to have the wildlife come back, to not be disturbed. And I can't think of a much more disturbing thing to put on a lake than a beach. So that's my first gut reaction to, is this what we should be doing right now? This lake still is healing. But just over here, just a little ways down, there was a hot spot. And from the cadmium and the mercury, particularly the mercury concentrations, they decided that one spot needed remediation. Next slide. Great, go back for one if you can.
What is the number of that? Yeah, go back.
If anyone wants a copy of my slides, I will happily share them.
Thank you.
And so you can see this little tiny dot way up there, away from everything else. Well, they did end up putting a little cap on top of that one hot spot. And they sampled a little bit around it, and they found that, okay, they didn't have exceedances around it. But again, this talks to me about the hot spots that do occur. And so I personally do not feel confident that there's been enough sampling at the north end of the lake to know what's in those sediments and to know that what's being proposed for a beach will keep us safe. What's really frustrating is I've been raising this issue since the time the beach discussion started. I've continually asked the county, are you going to do more sediment testing as you're doing this feasibility study? As far as I can get an answer out of them, the answer is no. I've gone to the DEC, I've gone to Honeywell, I've shown them this map, and I said, can you show me any further data that shows what's in the sediments in the north end of the lake? Is there any more sampling? And the answer is no. Next slide. So there you can see, those are the extent of the sediment sampling up there. And so you think about, when you're going to a beach, what are you doing? You're wading out through the sediments into the lake. They are planning on putting down sand. That's nice, that's good. Sand gets churned up. The lake gets churned up. What's moving in from the areas around it immediately?
But we actually know that there is harm already being done to a population that is eating fish from Onondaga Lake. This is talking about the human health risks from mercury. High levels of mercury have been found in Onondaga Lake fish. And mercury is a heavy metal, and mercury, cadmium, and chromium have all been found in the lake and in the sediment, and they are all so toxic to human health that really any amount is not considered to be a safe thing. But right now we have people that are fishing from the lake and eating the fish, and already the signs that are around the lake are not sufficient so that refugee communities know enough about them not to eat a certain amount of fish. And so pregnant women, young children would be most at risk. I want to point to two studies today. This one is the biomonitoring of Great Lakes populations, and what they did is that this is a study that launched in 2013, and the study looked at 3 populations of communities that were fishing from the lake: Syracuse anglers, Burmese refugees, and Bhutanese refugee community.